Welcome everyone to another edition of Willow's Weather Briefing. Today is Saturday, June 7th, 2025. Today we have an enhanced risk that extends from the Arkansas Valley over to northern Georgia, thanks to this convective system that you can conveniently see on satellite. This was a result of yesterday's convection that sort of conglomerated and then is now moving its way to the east, sustaining itself overnight, and moving its way over to the enhanced risk region. We also have a slight risk of excessive rainfall for a thin region extending from the ArkLaTex vicinity to northwest Georgia, mainly due to this mesoscale convective system that's currently moving through the area. Other than that, heat begins near the Gulf Coast and inner west, especially in areas such as Southern Texas and much of Louisiana, and also another area of heat risk in the inner west over here in Washington and northern Oregon. We also have a plume of near surface wildfire smoke that is forecasted to make its way into the northern plains up in these regions such as northern Montana and northern North Dakota by the afternoon hours. Below or near average temperatures for most of the Midwest into the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic, but above average temperatures for most of the western United States. Here was yesterday's storm reports. Pretty active weather yesterday. Mostly wind for our other region of slight risk over here in the Mid-South region, as well as some wind reports over here in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic regions. Over here, our most active and all hazard severe weather threat over here are double-barreled enhanced risk, verified pretty well. We had a few supercells that dropped some big hail and some tornadoes along the way as well. Also some damaging winds in these regimes as well. Here is our current drought monitor map. The solid lines demarcate the areas of most significant drought. And here is our current watches and warnings. Pretty busy along that MCS region. We have a swath of severe thunderstorm warnings, as well as a severe thunderstorm watch for much of Arkansas right now. This will continue to make its way east, possibly weaken a little bit, and reinvigorate some convection by the mid-afternoon hours. Also have a flood watch for most of the Oklahoma region associated with some training rainfall in that area as well. Air quality alerts for some lingering wildfire smoke across portions of the Midwest, as well as the Northeast. Some flood warnings lingering, some flash flood warnings and flood watches lingering over there in the Northeast, as well as some excessive heat watches and excessive heat warnings over here in the Pacific Northwest or the inner Northwest, and also portions of southern Texas. Red flag warning here in northeastern Montana associated with an elevated wildfire risk. Here is our forecast chart for today. We have a lingering front over here, just sort of sloshing back and forth between the southeast and central United States. This is, of course, causing our severe weather along what we call this baroclinic zone. This MCS is sort of riding along this, and it's going to make its way into the enhanced risk regions. Tomorrow, much of the same. We have a lingering frontal boundary over here along the Red River region, which will bring an additional area of severe thunderstorms tomorrow, and also some lingering flooding risk as well. Moisture flux from the Atlantic will also bring some severe thunderstorm threat over here, associated with a possible MCS that is going to form tonight in the Central Plains region and make its way east tomorrow. We also have a shot of cold air coming in from the north, associated with a cold Canadian air mass that is going to make its way to the southeast and is going to bring us heat relief from much of the southeastern region. That cold front will continue to push its way southeast. Again, another MCS is supposed to conglomerate and make its way to the southeastern region, which is associated with the severe weather risk here. So, damaging winds is probably going to be the main story for much of the southeast and mid-Atlantic for the next few days. Meanwhile, we have some clustered supercells posing an all hazards threat here in the southern plains near the dry line. Here is our day one excessive rainfall risk. Slight risk of excessive rainfall from ArkLaTex to northwest Georgia today. This is associated with over 2 inches of rain, possibly, and also a small slight risk for a very small portion of New England associated with half an inch to 1 inch per hour rates, likely within this region. Day two tomorrow, slight risk around the Red River vicinity. This is, of course, associated with our possibly training convection that is going to occur tomorrow. Rainfall amounts up to 2 inches is likely, with possible localized amounts up to 4 inches. Swath of marginal risk associated with that cold front expected for much of the southern United States as well as up towards upstate New York. Day 4, Tuesday, marginal risk over here for a lot of the southern United States associated with more convection with that stalling front, and marginal risk up here in the northeast. Day 5, we'll have a little bit more confidence on more moisture return, so there is a slight risk across central Texas on day 5, Wednesday, for excessive rainfall, as well as patches of marginal risks up here in the northern plains and upper Midwest. Here's our fire weather outlook, only issued for day 1 for northeastern Montana, associated with elevated winds and pretty dry weather. Drought conditions for these areas have caused pretty dry fuels, and also high winds today will cause an elevated fire risk there. We saw a red flag warning for areas of northeastern Montana. Now here's our severe weather outlook. This enhanced risk is associated with the ongoing MCS that is going to make its way towards the eastern extents by this afternoon. Of course, the primary hazard with this is going to be damaging wind. The other hazards are fairly low today, but large hail and maybe a tornado or two is possible. Day 2 convective outlook, we have two main regimes. One of them is the more robust regime here in the southern plains along the Red River vicinity. The primary hazards will be large to giant hail and potentially damaging, maybe significantly damaging winds in these areas. This includes cities like DFW, Oklahoma City, Amarillo, Wichita Falls. All of these cities are in this potentially significant severe weather risk tomorrow. We also have a secondary risk of severe weather, slight risk 2 out of 5 for the mid-Atlantic eastern coastal plain to the Piedmont, adjacent Piedmont regions. This includes cities like Richmond, Raleigh, Columbia, Charleston, Savannah, and that is associated with mainly a damaging wind risk. Hail and tornado risk are pretty low for this area. And finally, here's our day 3 outlook. Slight risk for much of the southeastern regions from the lower Mississippi River Valley to South Carolina. This is mainly associated with an overnight MCS that is going to form tomorrow night into this area, promoting a damaging wind risk for much of these cities. This includes Greenville, Mississippi, Birmingham, Alabama, Atlanta, and Columbia, South Carolina. Here is our heat risk. Heat is starting to build once again in the southern United States. Temperatures pretty much in the mid to upper 90s all throughout this area in the southeast. And heat indices, of course, it is humid being this close to the Gulf Coast, so heat indices will approach 110 degrees today and tomorrow for much of this area. Heat is beginning to build over here in the inner west region. Particularly in areas such as eastern Washington and north central Oregon, associated with the Columbia Plateau region over here. And we expect temperatures to reach close to 100 degrees throughout this particular geographical region. Also, heat builds by early next week in the southern basin regions. Of course, these regions typically get hot, but again, we are still expecting above average temperatures for these regions over here, with temps reaching into the high hundreds, possibly 110 degrees down here in the southern basin. Heat will subside in the south associated with that cold front that's going to push its way southeast, and that will bring some amount of heat relief by midweek down in these regions here, while building some mild heat over here in the southern in the northern plains. Here is our extended range hazards outlook. We have hazardous heat here for the inner west as well as the southern basin, as I described just before, and excessive heat for southern Texas into southern Louisiana, and also a small region in Florida. We also have severe weather for the southeast and also heavy rain for portions of Texas into the lower Mississippi River valley. Here is our 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, June 12th through June 16th. Above average temperatures for much of the central to northern plains, all the way across to the east coast. Below average temperatures for the coastal and Pacific Northwest regions. Here's our 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook, above average for much of the United States, near normal for areas such as California, New England, and southern Florida. Here is our HREF look for today. We have an ongoing MCS making its way through Arkansas. That is going to continue to make its way to the east, but slowly depleting as time goes on. But we still expect damaging winds in portions of the southeast. This MCS will dissipate in northern Georgia probably by 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern. A reinvigoration of convection is possible by late afternoon, but I believe that this convection over here is probably going to be washed by the preceding MCS and possibly subsevere. We do have a small chance of some thunderstorms over here along the dry line in Texas, but that is supposed to be few and far between, and the meager thermodynamic profiles are expected to keep these storms pretty at bay, and the spatial coverage isn't supposed to be that large over there in that region. So that is going to be it for today. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe. Of course, if you have any constructive criticisms, please leave them down below in the comments. And as always, if you want any specific information regarding your area, please refer to your local broadcast or National Weather Service meteorologists. Thank you and have a great day.